of various quote-unquote gods and goddesses. That's the same sun globe you see behind Jesus' head, as we call it the halo. That's the sun, signifying that Jesus is the sun god. And all the other folks who have halos behind their head, they represent also images of the sun god, such as the saints of the church. Okay. Sorry. Then there's the good old $1 bill. I won't even spend much time on this. Except number 13. Number 13 is a number of transition. It's not a bad number. On the dollar bill, there are 13 arrows, 13 stripes, 13 stars, 13 orange leaves. And number 1 is repeated on there 13 times. The pyramid has 13 steps. That's the all-seeing eye of Heru. The founding fathers of this country determined before the country was built that they wanted to make America the new Egypt, that they wanted to have the lasting effect on the world that Egypt had had. So the city was laid out masonically. The city of Washington is a diamond 10 miles on the side, sitting on its tip. Not any longer because the Arlington Cemetery part of Virginia was given back. But if you add that back, then the Potomac becomes the Nile. And just as in Kemet, you have the government buildings on the eastern side and the cemetery on the western side. Same thing here, Arlington Cemetery is on the western side and the government buildings on the eastern side. Benjamin Banneker, what did he do? Why was he important for the city of Washington? Well, technically, the Frenchman laid it out. L'Enfant laid it out. But what did Banneker have to do that none of the other folks could do?
He would make the connection between the cosmos.
He oriented it. He oriented. They knew what they wanted to do. They knew where they wanted to put it. They didn't know exactly how to orient it. Banneker was an astronomer. And he made the first clock in the New World. And he knew how to orient the city. I have not been able to prove this yet. I spent about 3 hours today trying to find this information. According to information, Meridian Hill Park was put where it is because the meridian of the sun, the city was oriented so the meridian of the sun would pass, meridians of longitudes, would pass over Washington, go back to the other side of the planet, and pass between the pyramids. I have not as yet been able to mathematically show that's the case. I'm going to try to do it by next time. As with other things, that's hard to find. But I'm going to find somebody who will give me a very simple calculation, and I know how to do it. They wanted to place Washington, D.C. in such a way that it would be oriented on the same meridian, the same longitude as the pyramids of Egypt, because they determined that they wanted to make this the new Egypt. Sir. Here's the eagle. Here's the Egyptian symbol. Ain't much different. I don't even compare those. They're the same thing. There's the E pluribus unum, out of one many, the all-seeing eye of Horus. More contemporary pictorizations of the eye of Horus, as in CBS. Why does CBS use the eye of Horus as a symbol? New York Times uses this also, by the way. Why do New York Times and CBS use the eye of Horus? No, but they were trying to say something about themselves in using it. What was CBS saying? What was CBS able to do for the first time the other networks were not able to do? Can't hear you. No. CBS was the first network to have worldwide correspondence. So they were able to say, we can see everything everywhere. New York Times was the first newspaper to have those foreign correspondents. So they're saying in our New York Times, we can see everything everywhere, and we print all the news that's fit to print. There's a joke in there somewhere. Fit. That's what it is. They ain't say all the news. They ain't say we print all the news. Print all the news that's fit to print. And fit to print as a value judgment. Here's an article from the Washington Post that was printed January the 8th, 1990, page A2, the Washington Post, talking about Egyptian healers applied surprisingly scientific skills. They had skills then, we don't have now. I thought this was very interesting. Years ago, there was a big discussion in physics about the nature of light. The two major scientists, Niels Bohr and Max Planck, each had a different theory of how light moved. Planck said that light moved in particles. Bohr said no, light moves in waves. They finally figured out that light moves in waves of particles. Okay? Interestingly enough, you can't really see it very clearly on this drawing, but this comes out of Kemet. Up here, you've got, coming down from the sun, waves of particles. And then, of course, the alphabet. Once again, if you put the hieroglyphics next to the languages that derived from the hieroglyphics, and here you've got that's the Greek there, that's the modern English here. I can't quite see what I copied there. Let me put glass on. Oh, the middle was Phoenician, and the one before that is Sumerian. So it's Kemet, Sumeria, Phoenician, Greek, and the modern English alphabet. That too, the alphabet system comes out of Kemet. So there are many, many reasons why we must recognize Egypt as an important primary cultural reference for us in going back, understanding Africa. We must also, though, correct the omissions as we go along, the errors, misinterpretations. I just have a few of them for you here. And outright lies. The Sphinx. As we said before, our hunch should be that the Sphinx is probably 12,000 plus years old. Just misdesigned, the head of a man on the body of a lion. Naturally, if you look back at the zodiac, that was probably designed during the period of Leo, 10,800 BC, 12,000 years ago. And now, through studies of water patterns and markings on the Sphinx, they've just about said the Sphinx is 13,000 years old. So he was able to show that the melanin pigment in the pharaohs proved they were black. And of course, thereafter, those mummies disappeared out of the museums. Got them in the basement now, you know. But it's a very important point. Darwin is less than 200 years before now. DNA is current. But most of human history, we've known damn little about how we got here. You live in a very, very fantastic time because knowledge is now available to you. If you have the internet and you don't have any illness that prevents you from using it, get on there. You'll find stuff by accident that'll open up a new career for you. This is the time to be alive. And it'd be a shame to be sitting around watching Miss America in car races. You know, which is where most people are these days. You know, that there are folks who don't know a bit of what I've been talking about today, but they can tell you about the Super Bowl game. I thought this was interesting. This is what's called the 7 ancient wonders of the world. And I'll read them off so you know what they are. The Great Pyramid. Oddly enough, they don't include the Sphinx. And the Sphinx is even older than the pyramids, but you know why they don't include it now, because it's a problem, okay? The Hanging Gardens of Babylon, the statue of Zeus at Olympia, the Temple of Artemis, the Mausoleum at Harikhamis, the Colossus of Rhodes, the Lighthouse of Alexandria. Which one of the 7 ancient wonders is still standing? The pyramids. Now think very carefully. Think about your Bible history. There was another structure mentioned in the Bible that certainly should be included. Has to do with people. You got it. I was trying to walk around. The Tower of Babel. Why is the Tower of Babel not listed as one of the ancient wonders? Because it never existed. Exactly correct. See how obvious it becomes after a while? Now, here's something else. Just a chart. I was trying to find a picture of Menachem Begin and Anwar Sadat when they signed the Camp David Accords. They went on tour, and they were standing. There was a picture in the New York Times of them standing in front of the pyramids of Egypt. And Menachem Begin said, "Oh yes, my people built this." And Sadat said, "We have no record of that." Now, here's where knowing history comes in. The folks who we now call Hebrews, the earliest they could have come in would have been around 1750 BCE, before the Common Era, between 1000 BC and 1000 BCE and 2000 BCE, 750 BCE. The pyramids were built during the Pyramid Age, 1,000 years earlier, which is why Dr. Ben says that the pyramids were there before Abraham's mama. See? There were different periods in Egyptian history. You had dynasties 1 through 12, the Pyramid Age. You had the period, of course, before Egypt was codified as a nation. You had the Pyramid Age. Then you have a period of breakdown when Hyksos come in. Then you've got the Temple Age when they built the temples and other problems when other people come in, the Greeks, for instance, that's Homer. Then you got the Revival Age when they're able to get things back together. And when I talk about Nubia, what you'll come to find is that every time Egypt declined, Nubians came from the south, got them back on their feet, and went back home. Here's an article that I picked out that talked about the fact the Great Pyramid reveals her age. And this was talking about the fact that the pyramid is much older than they've been trying to tell us it is. And this comes from I think this was written in Time magazine, I think.
Why does it say her age? Isn't she? No? I thought it was a particular king.
We don't know patriarchy. I said before, it was the head of a man on top of a lion. It could very well be a female. But our patriarchal training makes everything male. Okay? Sorry. This is another representation from Asa Hilliard of the time map that shows the various dynasties or families of people that ruled. And I put this one up here because I wanted to show you that 525 to 405 BC, the Persians came in. Then 332 to 30 BC, the Greeks come in. 30 BC to 395 AD, the Romans come in. Then the Vandals come in. Then the Muslims come in. Then the Europeans come in. Then the Arabs come in again. Then the French come in and colonize folk. So that when you look at Egypt today, being just a remnant of what it was, and it's a mighty remnant, you can understand that because everybody tried to get a piece of it. It's a wonder anything still exists. And then, I think last with this, I put up 2 Bible verses that I wanted to illustrate something with. The first one was Exodus 12:37. The Israelites journeyed from Ramses to Succoth, about 600,000 men on foot, beside women and children. That's the Exodus. We're talking about 1 million people walking somewhere. Can you imagine the chicken they'd need to feed them folk? 40 years. The toilet facility they would need for 1 million plus people. We read things like that in the Bible and it don't even occur to us that the numbers have to be mythological. Picture everybody at the Million Man March walk from here to Baltimore. It would shut down the parkway. Okay. And the Lord spake unto Moses, go unto Pharaoh and say unto him, thus saith the Lord, let my people go, that they may serve me. What Pharaoh are we talking about? Why do we know? Now think about Jewish people. The Jewish people I know have memorized the names of every single person ever did them wrong. They still looking for some of them. Some have died, and they tried to find the body so they could disgrace them. How come when the greatest crimes done against Hebrew people, the only thing we got is old Pharaoh?